good here. That. Okay, how's it going, everyone? First of all, good evening. How's everybody doing? My name is Omar Thabit. This is episode 25 of the Table Talk podcast. Looking forward to the show today. Of course, you got the co-host in the building, Big Sis Abir Thabit. And then we have the guest in the building. This is Officer Bryant George from Detroit PAL and Detroit Police Department. Owner of Game Mobile. We're gonna get into all this stuff. You know, this is just this is a short introduction. Looking forward to having this conversation. Can't wait to hear everything that he has to say, and you guys are gonna love it. This guy right here is a role model in the community. Definitely. You know, this is part 3, by the way, of us focusing on, you know, our guests, obviously, but also the conversations with around African Americans / Black community. And dealing with Detroit also and stuff like that. So we're going to get into that as well and talk about that. But before we get into the conversation, conversation is about policing our community and Detroit PAL, that is. Before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to our 2 sponsors. Our first one is Give to Gain. Shout out to Give to Gain. It is a non-profit organization that sponsors orphans in Yemen. 100% of all their donations goes to the less fortunate. Those that run the organization just wanted to say they appreciate everybody who donates. Why Yemen? It's the largest humanitarian crisis and aid operation. 5 million people are at risk of famine. 15 million people need water or sanitation support. If you are looking to donate, their Venmo is at Give, the number 2 Gain. Their Zelle is 313-445-8638. And their Cash App is the money symbol Give, number 2 Gain. Shout out to Rico. Appreciate you for shedding light on this situation. And yeah, with that said, again, if you guys want to call in, the number is 313-306-1750. You can call in and check on in. Ahmed Hussein said, Assalamu alaikum, how you all been? We're doing great. You know, Ahmed, freshman, Ahmed Hussein, Mrs. Amal's.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that's him. I believe that is him. We haven't got a confirmation. And then you got Cal Trey, best show on Tuesday night. And then my brother said he can also hoop. All right, that's what he said. That's Yusuf checking in. And first of all, we got stories for y'all. Okay, we got stories for y'all. So rather if you're watching it now, if you're listening to it later, you can laugh at them, you can cry at them, whatever it may be. We got some stories. Okay. But first we want to hear, you know, maybe you can introduce yourself to the people out there. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and we kind of go from there.
Okay. Well, number one, thank you, Coach Omar, for having me. Looking forward to spending the time tonight together. My name is Bryant George. I'm a Detroit police officer. As Coach Omar said, I work at the Detroit Police Athletic League through the Chiefs Neighborhood Liaison Office, where I'm assigned at. I've been a cop for 5 years in Detroit. It's been such a blessing and a privilege. I was born and raised in Detroit. And one of the unique things about me that really stuck with me, my mom was a teenage parent when she had me. And so as a kid and seeing a kid grow up, I knew I wanted to do something with my life. I was very, 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 very fortunate to be a participant in Detroit PAL when I was a kid. And so I played basketball, and way back in the day, actually 20 years ago, in 2002, I played for a team called Detroit Rockhounds, where we won a basketball championship in the boys' league. That helped me go to a school called Rogers Academy, where I won 2005 state championship, Class D, and went to Madonna University, and I was the first person in my family to go to college, Coach. And so, you know, off a basketball scholarship, an academic scholarship there, I knew I was going to be a cop, majored in criminal justice, and, you know, I worked in education for 5 years before becoming a cop and finished up my master's degree. And so, you know, just this life of service, I noticed early on that, you know, hey, you played for police officers when you were a kid in Detroit PAL. And so, you know, just watching them follow me through life, it was only like, hey, this is a no-brainer.
Like a full circle.
Just like that. Like, come back, be a cop, be a superhero, help those in your community, build those relationships, and make sure that people can feel comfortable and loved around you and everything like that. So.
Well, that introduction definitely deserves a round of applause, by the way. This is the crowd. The crowd is giving you a round of applause. They love the introduction. Thank you, everybody, for that. Claps. By the way, we appreciate it. And no, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. It's crazy how everything comes back full circle, and now you're back, you know, serving the same people that you were kind of around when you were growing up. So And then Ahmed, by the way, confirmed that it is him. He said, I know you guys all miss me, so he's wanted to mention that as well. But going back to this, Detroit Pal, like, I don't even know, like, when we should start, like, bragging about them. I mean, like...
I just want to say that I'm a mother, and my son has played for Detroit Pal, and honestly, it's the best thing that ever happened to him. So, kudos to you guys. My son is not afraid of police officers. You know what I'm saying? So when he sees one, he's like excited because he thinks he's like you guys. You know what I'm saying? The ones that are on the field with him. So yeah, definitely, 100%. So many opportunities, so many good times. We went to Ohio together. That was fun. You know, like we can talk about all that. I don't know.
I think anytime something comes up, I'm just gonna start mentioning it. Like, this too, because
I do want to say he is a fellow Crusader. I also went to Madonna, so you don't find them often.
Yeah, that was funny. When we were talking about it, I was like, Madonna. I just kept walking, like, all right, let's have that conversation.
Madonna gives you an experience, like a really, like they really care about you. I felt like I had a very one-on-one experience with my counselors, with my just with everything, my advisors. It was very, you're not lost. You know what I'm saying? It's not a big university where
we ain't come here to advertise Madonna. Alright? We got, I'm trying to get MSU to maybe be an advertiser on the show right now, okay? But in all seriousness, Detroit Pal, she said as a mother, of a, as a coach, as a father, as an adult, I cannot thank Detroit Pal enough.
100%.
Like the support that they had given my teams in the past, teams that I've coached, just kids in general. That you guys are willing to help. Like when we got you for that one time, and I know this is just the person that you are. We had them kids from the neighborhood come. You just let them play. You guys are all about the neighborhood and building that relationship, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Which is, talking about, that's what PAL's all about, right? Trying to build that bridge of, police and community and, fill that gap that's needed and be there for them and show them. And to be honest with you, you guys do more than what any other, it's not like a dentist league that tries to connect, you know what I'm saying? Like, police, are out there, and obviously you work with the public, and that has a lot to do with it. But, what you guys do at Detroit Pal, I can't sit here and thank you enough. I'm like I said, throughout the show, we're going to talk about stuff that they've done. My sister mentions Ohio. When we, as a baseball team, wanted to go to Ohio, a big expense is transportation. And, by the way, safety, right? You care about that. Because as the adults, you got 12 to 15 kids. So, transportation and safety, those are two things when you're sitting there planning, are two big things, right? These guys provided us Detroit Pal buses. Not only that, drove, stayed with us, and not only stayed with us, like we're amazing, like chaperones, by the way.
So cool.
The kids love hanging out with them, they love hanging out with us. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And so they came and provided that for us. They were there with us 24/7. You felt like, we were. And by the way, this is my first time meeting you. By the way, it was that moment, and it was just like great people at Detroit Pal. That was just one minor thing. Like I said, we're gonna get into a lot of stuff that they've done for us, but. We kind of talk about what we loved about Detroit Pal a little bit. So, let me ask you this. So, we're going to get into that. Let's go into Detroit Pal first. I guess, what is the number one thing that you love about Detroit Pal and being at Detroit Pal?
Ooh, the number one thing. So, when you look at the history of Detroit Pal, you're talking about over 50 years ago, you had an uproar in a community, right? When you had the rise in Detroit. And when you look at some of the most successful things in life, it started off with someone wanted to fix a problem, and they came up with a solution. And so you're telling me over 50 years ago, we had this problem in Detroit where people were rioting and connecting cops with the community and children was an issue. And so when you look at Detroit Pal, they built this bridge essentially so that kids, community, leaders can come over this bridge and be at the Detroit Police Athletic League. And so what that meant was, hey, we're going to have athletics, we're going to have leadership opportunities, we're going to have academic opportunities. And so if someone isn't into sports, well, academically we can get them. If they're in academics and they want to work on their leadership skills, we're going to have leadership programs and we're going to provide this youth enrichment experience for them. And so my greatest experience, while I love Detroit Pal, just being an alum, it has to be a basketball program. But it was something that happened in my life. I think, almost 3 years ago, my brother was shot and killed, my middle brother. And so during that time, I had to think about like, how do you respond to this, right? You get up every day and you help kids find their greatness at Detroit Pal, which is their mission, their goal. But it was like, you can't talk to your brother anymore. However, you have these young men who are like 7 and 8 years playing basketball. And so I think my greatest experience and why I love Pal so much was when I created this officer meet and greet. So all of the boys who were playing in our program, our school league basketball program, we would like visit a practice and give them an opportunity to meet the officer that's at Detroit Pal and teaching them about making great choices, right? Because athletics in school is one thing, but what happens when they age out or they grow up and they go off to college and they have to make these adult choices, right? And so I was hoping that I could teach them about these choices that you're going to be faced with in life and trying to always make great choices. And so at PAL, that's the mission, help you find your greatness. And they want to really do that and illustrate that through goal setting, being resilient, embracing a healthy lifestyle, accountability, and teamwork. And so for me, it was very therapeutic. I knew that, hey, this program, it worked for you, and now you're giving back inside this program, and if just one person taking the knowledge, build a relationship, like you've done, a good job, and that was given to me through Detroit Pal.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You have any comments you want to say or thoughts on that?
No, you're not only keeping the community safe, you're building a better future for the community.
Absolutely.
And kids need someone to listen to them, someone to be a role model, someone to mentor them. Sometimes they don't have the parents or the family members that can help them through that. And through Detroit Pal, they can find a mentor and do better.
Yeah.
So I like that they touch on. I like that they touch on academics as well and leadership, and it just builds their confidence overall.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's okay. And by the way, can you text Ramsey to come turn off the heat? Because I know it's getting a little hot in here, by the way. I was having to heat up. And usually it's
beautiful today,
it's beautiful weather outside. But with that said, this is one of those random times, right, where I'm going to be starting giving shout outs. So first of all, Detroit Pal. People might know Detroit Pal as a sports league, right? But it's a lot more than that. And I'm going to give you an example. So I really tried to make a phone call happen, and we practiced, and I don't know why he told me that it was going to break up too much, but there was a phone call I was going to have, and actually now that I think about it, because he always comments under his name, so it's probably Zach that commented on the Yusuf's thing. And so Zach, my little brother Zach from middle school. Detroit Pal. So Richard Resnick, shout out to Richie Rich, that's my nickname, right? Richie Rich. Alright, Richie Rich.
I'm going to try to turn it off.
Yeah, you can just hit the all button. So Richie Rich, literally, like that guy right there, man. Like he's the first one I met from Detroit Pal, and got connected with everyone else, yourself, Officer Paisley, Officer Norwood, everybody over there at Detroit Pal. I appreciate them. So my man Richie Rich calls me. So you're gonna laugh, right? He calls me. He says, "Yo, Omar, I have an offer for you, and I think it's one of the best offers I've ever given." I was like, "I'm driving. Let me pull over to the side right quick." You know what I'm saying? Like, cause these guys have taken us to Tigers games, Lions games, taken us on the field, both fields.
Yes.
One of our players got a chance to throw out the first pitch of a game. We've accepted a check on behalf of Detroit Pal, on the Jumbotron, waving, doing that stuff. So when he calls and says that, I'm like, yo, what you got, And then he said, I have a great opportunity for one of your players to go to Dubai and have a full,
right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, they're going to sponsor 2 kids. They wanted a boy and a girl, and he said, we're giving you this opportunity, and so I sent it to everyone. I was like, making a fair game. I'm going to let them pick between you guys,
They had to write an essay.
They had to write an essay and they had to do an interview. And long story short, Zach, my brother, is currently in Dubai. I really wanted to face. I was practicing. He even told me, he was like, man, I don't know why the internet's bad. It'll be like, it's bad. And so we were cutting off. I was like, there's no point. It'll be like weird if you're just cutting off. But I'm sure if he's watching this or eventually he's going to watch it, I guarantee that's how he comments. He can hoop too. That's Zach. That's Zach talking right there. I know that was Zach commenting. But it's probably like 3 a.m. I don't know what he's doing awake over there. But he's having a great time. He told me that. Like, he's one of those people that don't like admitting stuff. Okay. Like, he's hard, 9th grader. He don't like to show his emotions, but he's sitting there telling me, like, he loves it. Like, he loves it. Like, he loves the experience that he's having.
That's an experience of a lifetime. That's
I
not
have
normal.
Hey, my first comment was, did you chaperone? That was my first comment. I'll be honest with you. But say like yes. It's a
Hey, we were gonna do rock paper scissors.
I was arguing with my mom. I was like, you know, I'm the one that brought it. You know, she was like, I'm his mom. You know what I mean? So we was arguing just in case. But long story short, like he's having an amazing time, guys. Like they're sponsoring 2 kids like to go to Dubai for like 8 days. If he lists you all the
itinerary is wild.
Like all the things that they're doing everything that you can think of at Dubai. So let's just give you an example. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is Trip Pal is more than sports. It's more than sports. They're about educating, giving you that experience, and all that other good stuff.
World-class experience.
World-class experience. I think it's only getting better, right? You're someone that's been through it and now working through it. Like it's only getting better.
The enrichment side is definitely key. I mean, athletics it's a small part, but everything off the field and off of the court, what our young people are facing today, is so serious. And so the enrichment that Detroit Pal is offering to kids during today's time, I mean, it's just it's endless, you know, where they'll be exposed, and it's like once a mind is stretched from its original state, it can no longer go back.
100%.
Right? So that Dubai experience through Detroit Pal, I mean, it's stretched right now, and so
anything is possible for them now.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
The sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Like it's,
Well,
you know, it's funny. Like that's funny, but yeah, Zach, definitely what you just said is 100% true. And Qamar just commented, "Hello, beautiful people. What's going on, Qamar?" The reason why I say that is because Zach was like, he was just telling me, he's like, "Watch, man, I'm gonna be on the Super Bowl." Like he was just talking big. Like while he's at Dubai, like that's just a perfect example. Like he was saying, like he's gonna do a show at the Super Bowl now. Like he feels like, and you know, he mentioned this to me, but I don't want to like misquote nothing, but like. Somehow throughout this program, like they even give him shares in Crocs.
Wow.
Like so, they're setting him up literally for the future.
That's crazy.
Like he was telling, like I was walking away because I was like, "Why are you wearing Crocs to the gym?" And I told him like that. He's like, "Oh, because I'm part owner of Crocs now." I was like, "Get out of here!" I didn't know he's making that comment. What are you talking about? Like, for real.
Just to let you know, he calls himself Big General.
Yeah.
So you have to understand.
Yeah, so I have to take him serious, you know. So I'm like, "When get out of here!" He's like, "No, for real, man. Like that program from the Pal thing. Like I think they gave us some shares in Crocs." I was like, "For real?" He's like, "Yeah." I didn't get into detail, but they even set them up in stocks like that and stuff like that. So awesome, man, awesome. So I guess going from what did you love about from Detroit Pal? Like, what do you love about being a police officer?
Ooh, being a Detroit police officer.
Yes.
Detroit. Gotta make sure you mention that.
One of the finest. So there are so many wonderful things about being a police officer because you have this large department, right, in this major city, and you have so many facets of policing. In my 5-year career, I've been fortunate to work patrol. I spent a little bit of time in investigations, and then when you have an officer working at Detroit Pal, that's more so like community relations, so community policing. You know, I really, in my heart, you know, I just realized, you know, I was a servant leader. You know, I grew up in church as a kid, going to Madonna, right, and you go into a faith-based institution, you learn a lot about service, and so it doesn't matter if you're white or black, rich or poor, urban or suburban, right? Any citizen or visitor in the city of Detroit, we get to provide a service and a form of protection to people where you can enhance their quality of life. And so when you look at life, especially as adults, like what it really means to us, right? Being comfortable, being happy, being at peace, right? And so as a police officer, you're able to help people accomplish that, whether they're coming downtown or they're in their neighborhoods or they're at their schools or, you know, they're in certain programs. I just think the level of service that you can provide to someone, and when you really, really care, right, it's A1 service in a sense. And so, you know, they got a quote that we're the finest, but the training that you get is very, very thorough academically, physically, mentally. And also the people you get to meet. I'm talking about some of the strongest people, not physically, but mentally, emotionally, and everything. When you work in a violent city, there's some things that you're going to see that sometimes aren't the prettiest, right? But to still be a human being and to still live a normal life as a law enforcement officer in Detroit, I've met some of the strongest people, and so it's just a service, man. So if it's coming through patrol and you and your scout car partner and you all are out there answering 911 calls to investigations in the detective unit, and you have victims and you know they want justice, right? Or even in community relations where you're meeting great people like yourself and really helping people in life and everything. So absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Service.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And my wife just chimes in and said, hello, Officer George, trying to make sure we read all the comments. My wife is in the building as well now. But, yeah, man, honestly, like, the more he speaks, man, I just want y'all to know, like, Detroit Pell is filled with a bunch of people that are just great. Just great people.
100%.
Genuinely great people. Like, Officer Paisley, like, she's just one of those people, like, we were talking about it. I don't know if you know Melvin Jackson. He's the head baseball coach for Cass Tech. He was a former Detroit police officer. He said that, he loved, like, he knew Paisley, like, he knew her when she was younger and everything, and, when he was on the force, and he said, like, and we all agreed, like, I don't remember a moment when she wasn't smiling, you know what I mean?
Even him now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, like, even on the too, like.
Just good-hearted people.
Yeah, it's great people, honestly, we appreciate them, and that's a blessing, man, that's why, like, we say, alhamdulillah, like, that's, like, thank God, like, for this blessing, and, like, I want to make sure I say that because, it's a blessing.
It is.
It's a blessing, honestly.
And you have to remember, Detroit Pell is a non-profit organization. They're doing it from their hearts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like this is the side of their career. Like they have a job that they have to go to, and then this is on top of it. So
for sure. So we talk about best.
Mm-hmm.
Here goes the least.
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's start off with just being a police officer. I don't think I'm gonna ask for the least for Detroit Pell. I feel like everything about Detroit Pell is positive, right? So I guess a police officer. I mean, not saying it about being a police officer, but I know there could be some hard days being a police officer.
What's the most
challenging?
There you go. Yeah. So, I guess some of the most challenging moments being a police officer in Detroit. I'll just put us in this present time. You had 2 years ago when George Floyd was murdered, right? We can't even say killed, like he was murdered, right? And so when something like that happens and you have a pandemic going on and everybody's at home, so everybody's like glued to their TVs and their phones, right? And someone record this in different cameras,
angles,
right? Capture this whole totality of the circumstances, like everything. A lot of people began to look at those in the uniform like, I can't trust you.
Backlash.
Right? I can't sit next to you. I can't break bread with you. Like, one of your people killed somebody by kneeling on his neck. And when you have that, like, well, that was him. That wasn't me. I didn't kill him. Yet I do wear a law enforcement uniform. That's what makes the job hard. Where people that, if someone came through this door right now, and someone came with guns, you all might run or dunk under the table, right? And I would literally go towards that threat to try to stop or eliminate it for you all. But it might cost me my life. Mm-hmm. And that's how I was trained, and that's what I have in my heart. And so when people are like, yo, well, he did this, so that means that you were part of this and you're corrupt, and that makes it hard, because then it makes it sometimes feel like this is a thankless career. But when you have these moments at Detroit Pal, you get to, let me wash that away, right? Because any job or career we do that has human choice involved is going to be flawed, because inherently we're flawed as humans. Right. So, yeah, I'm Officer Bryant George. But I'm Bryant George first. Like, I go home, my skin feels the same as y'all's, like, and so trying to create the best image for law enforcement when you have some that are not making an image so positive, gotta be the most challenging part right now in law enforcement right now. Seriously. Because cameras, videos, they're everywhere. Recordings is everywhere. And so that one incident trumps the millions and millions of 911 calls and, preserving people's lives who are like gunshot wound victims and armed robberies and these really violent crimes where police officers risk their lives every single day, every single moment throughout this country. And so, that's a fight, but it's a good fight, and it's a fight of faith. And so, I'm super fortunate to be in Detroit and get to wake up every single day to create the best image for law enforcement officers during today's time.
First of all, that's a deep answer, because there's a lot of takeaways I can take out of this one. The first one is I have to make sure that's, it's coming from a black police officer as well. And I think that's important to mention this, because you're saying this, and you know, George Floyd obviously was, you know, black, African American, so it was even hard for black police officers as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that's why I think it's good that you're talking about this, because it doesn't, like, as soon as they see that, it's just anyone with a badge. It don't matter the color of the skin, right? It was hard for everyone.
Blue.
Yeah. There you
Technically.
go. Correct.
You're
You
blue
know.
now.
That's it.
You know, and so, and the second part I was going to say is, police officers are in the toughest position in the world, because when you do your job, people expect it. And you're not gonna get a pat on the back or anything like that. You know, they don't even give donuts no more, right? They don't even do
Oh my
that.
God, I hate you.
No, it's a joke, but like, you know what I'm saying?
Gotta embrace a healthy lifestyle.
And so, like, and then when you don't do it, it's all over the media. It's all over social media. It's everybody's talking about it. It's on camera. It's viral. Oh my God! And like you said, the human aspect of it is completely taking away.
It's crazy because they're now expecting a cop to do something wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're waiting for a cop to do to tell their story.
So
you know?
you can pull up to a 911 run, and two people could be out there fighting instead of like the crowd trying to break it up. When
Oh,
you all
cameras.
pull up, they'll pull out their phones, like, and we're like, wait, you all could have prevented this, or somebody lose their life. You all could have jumped in and broke that up, but no, it's just cameras. So that's what the police are going to do. And so, again, you're human. You're inherently flawed, but you're expected to be almost perfect.
Right.
And so that's a lot of pressure. And humans sometimes, you know, they crack and the pressure gets the best of them. And so, you know, keeping balance of your mental and your physical and your emotional and your spiritual aspect of the human being, I think is very important to kind of suppress some of that pressure and everything like that.
It's definitely a stressful job. It's not
Totally.
a walk in the park.
Yeah, and the stress is coming from people that are like just outsiders. It's not even the stress of the job. You know what I mean? Of the job of actually being in the force. You know, of you know, going to a scene that is you know, homicidal or something like that, where it's crazy. And so that's why, like, people, man, I got all the respect for police officers, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's not a general thing. It can be an individual, and that is for any career. You know, anybody that is struggling or having like somebody can have a bad day, and you can't just judge everybody off of that one bad apple. You know, one person.
Your fingers are not even all the same.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they're, you know.
And if I can include this, I mean, because I do see things, I'm like, man, why would a cop do something like that? Like, why would you kneel on someone's neck that long? Or why would you police like that, right? Because it's something called officers like discretion, right? Everybody has their own discretion.
That gray area.
Yeah, like how they want to police, right? It's guided through the laws and policies and regulations, but you still have your own discretion. And so one of the blessings, I used to work with my partner in the 2nd Precinct, and you know, we always talked about, hey, either you want to help people with their problems or you want to give them more problems. And so that's the power you have as a law enforcement officer. Today, am I going to help somebody solve their problems, or am I going to give them more problems? And so when you look at something like that, I do agree with some of the stuff that citizens see on the outside and on the videos. Like, you don't have to police like that. You don't have to give people more problems like that. You don't have to take people away from their loved ones. And so the great cops and the good cops that do value what they do for a living and service and protection, and they try to get the A1 services, what I like to call it, it's a blessing. And so when you get those cops, you lift them up and keep them encouraged so they can stay and retain and try to build other ones up. And hopefully more Detroit Pal kids will become cops one day.
Definitely.
I love this conversation where it's going, man, because we're talking about stuff that people are afraid to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And are afraid to mention.
And you know, there's still people out there like that, you know, especially in the African American descent, that have dash cameras because they're afraid of what would happen to them. You know what I'm saying? And it's sad because, like, to be honest with you, for me, I don't really worry when I get pulled over. You know, let's be real. Like, I really don't worry. I've only had one bad cop situation where they were really rude for no reason. But other than that, like, I've never had like where I feel like my life is on the line. And to feel that, I feel like there's an issue. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
And
sad.
Detroit Pal is definitely, I feel like, bridging that gap in a way.
Yeah.
But to literally feel where you need a dash cam, where you need to keep your hands on tentative, is that what it is? Yeah. And you know all that. Whatever. Yeah, like I feel like that is an issue, and bridging the gap is important.
And it's needed.
Yeah.
It's definitely needed because police officers at the end of the day, they're here to protect, right, and serve. And majority, if not all, have that mindset. And I think people forget that when they see everything, and we're so easy to judge nowadays, and we're so easy to believe something that we see, and then we're quick to say, cancel, we don't cancel no police now, or something like that. So it's mind-boggling that the people who are there to protect you, like you said, something were to happen, we probably ducking, you'll probably take your life, you sacrifice your life, and we're bashing those people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like it's crazy. Yeah. I'm serious. Like it's.
And the amount of stress, like you have to understand, in those 2-3 seconds or 10 seconds, you have to make decisions quickly. And you're gonna really make someone like hold. I don't know.
And by the way, yeah, I know y'all trained for that, but you're not really trained for that. You know what I mean?
They're not gonna give you every situation.
It's called controlled chaos, which you're training for, and you try to make it as real as possible, but it's not real until it's real, right? And so you don't know how the human body is going to respond at that time. So these fine motor skills can go out the door.
Right, fight or flight.
Yeah, just like that. So absolutely.
So, we talked about how Detroit Pal kind of helps build a relationship between police officers and their communities. I know you kind of touched on it. Was there anything more that you wanted to touch on with that one, or keeping it rolling on that one? Just wanted to make sure that we covered how Detroit Pal does a great job with that.
I think we're good. Athletics, academic leadership.
I have a question. This might kind of what the whole we're both in the educational system.
Okay.
And the whole shooting that recently happened, and the whole Alice training or whatever. Does Detroit, the police department, are you guys going into schools, or are you guys trying to? Is that a thing now, or is that?
So I'm not a part of the training educational center in Detroit, so I can't say if they're actively doing it, especially with COVID and everything like that. I'm not sure, but I know in the past, yes, absolutely yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's been a thing at our school as well, of figuring out what to do if there's an intruder, and how before they would tell us to hide, now they're telling us to actually prepare and do something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like the active shooter. I've personally been through the training. I've seen other organizations and schools a part of it, but that was pre-COVID, and so right now I'm not sure if it's fully back open to that yet.
So we're gonna talk about some of your best stories.
Ooh.
All right, if you can think of some. What's the greatest story you can tell us that you had with being involved as a police officer?
Oh, as a police officer.
Yep.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, my 5-year career being a police officer has had 3 different lenses: on patrol, in the detective unit, and then at Detroit PAL as a community police officer. On patrol, best moment on patrol was,
Were you the type to give a lot of tickets?
Well, I was not.
Okay.
No. But I will say this. I remember I was working midnights, and we had a domestic situation between a daughter and a mother, and the daughter actually stabbed the mother with broken glass. And so, just being able to put your hand and glove over the wound to try to preserve the blood, and wait for EMS to get there. I think that was like on patrol when you were like, whoa, this is real. Like, this person could have bled out. You preserved that. EMS got there and was able to convey that person, and you were able to preserve a life. Also on patrol, man, we just drive to the park. All the kids are like looking at the car, like, are they about to mess with us? Are they about to show us love? And then we get out with basketball, so we just start
for them. Yeah.
And so, you got that bright side to it. On a summer day in Detroit, it's nothing like it, man. Or like prom season and graduation season, and they have these big send-offs, and they got these like royal red carpets and these chairs, and you and your partner pull up, and you all had the lights on, and all the kids like, oh my God, everybody ice cream and everything. I miss those moments. In a detective unit, I had a couple of cases with the green light surveillance program where you have different businesses in Detroit that has this real time surveillance, and so just helping those establishments out was very, very rewarding, because when you look at business and people have taken out loans, or they've saved their life, savings, or they've taken out of their retirement to start a business, and to have their businesses like vandalized and property destroyed, to help those people solve those cases and get those victims off the streets, I think was very rewarding. And at Detroit Pal, oh my God, we'll be here till tomorrow. But I just think every day that I'm there, I feel like I'm making a difference, truly. PAL has a great mission. They have great leadership right now, that I'm very, very thankful for. And I say right now because I'm there now, but, they have great leadership, and they're, I'm just going to call it a marriage with the police department, right? They're together, and so they support each other with one effort. Let's make our city and our community safer. Let's give our kids a safe space. So some kids, they live in violent neighborhoods. They don't have access to quality academics and leadership opportunities or athletics opportunities in a safe space. And so when you have the police department, you have a local nonprofit that's making this happen, and you get to be a part of that, and you get to be innovative, and man, you can't, those are great moments, so absolutely.
Yeah, and just want to say this. First of all, as a patrol officer, look at the two things that he mentioned as one of his, favorite things, was pretty much saving a life, literally.
Yep.
And then, having that moment of enjoyment with, the community and playing basketball. Just to give you a quick example of the day in life of a police officer.
Yeah.
One day could be saving a life, the other day could be building that gap, right, and having a good time with, the community. So that, again, I'm one of those people that's mind boggled about how police officers are treated. You know what I'm saying? So I'm over here I'm so happy that you're sharing this, because I really sincerely think that people don't think people like you exist.
Yeah.
I'm serious, and then there's if you were to break down every I forgot what it's called, but every police officer, whatever it's, I don't call it. What is it called when they're all, the whole thing is whatever, Detroit Police, right? So if you department, yes, I don't know the word I was looking for. That was what I'm saying. So if you were to break down each department, man, everybody's like this, right? You might run into one where they might have an attitude or something like that when they pull you over, but majority everyone's like this, and so that's why it's just mind-boggling to me, and that's why I wanted to make sure we touch on this stuff and mention it.
Absolutely. But what I was going to say, to that, some people, you have different roles in the police department, and so some people might say, I hate getting tickets, right? Who wants to pay a ticket? Who wants to get their car towed? But when you look at a vehicle is a weapon in a sense, right? If it's driven at a certain speed, if it's recklessly driven, if it's driven under the influence of drugs or alcohol, then at that time it can really hurt or kill someone. And so if this vehicle doesn't have plates and tags and insurance, and it hits someone, and this family needs medical coverage, but you don't have medical liability, you have people in these roles to keep our society balanced and to try to keep people safe as possible. So personally, I don't like giving tickets. I don't like giving tickets, but we have laws in place to help, protect our society. And so you have some really great people who are police officers in Detroit, outside of Detroit. This is my second career. I worked in higher education for 5 years. And so I wasn't one of the guys that was like, yo, cop this, cop that. This is my second career. And so I've already fallen in love with education, because I believe education really is something that can change someone's life drastically, and I'm a product of that. But I have seen people in law enforcement truly save lives and really bring justice to people and really keep people safe and everything. So.
And I know you mentioned leadership at Detroit Pal. By the way, Robert Jameson is the president or CEO, correct? And he is over there in Dubai right now.
Yeah.
So a great guy.
I think he's sharing the room with Zach, or across something like that.
Yeah,
he was saying the CEO is,
Yeah, great guy.
Absolutely.
I see all the stuff that he posts, and he's always doing great things in the community, and that's his line, right? Pal doing great things in the community. he always posts that line, and it's stuck in my head.
It's easier to talk, but when you walk the walk, it's for sure.
That's why I said, I mean, we got great leadership. Rob, Dave, Fred, Stephanie, Jerry, Monica, Maria. I mean, you have great leadership, all the athletic directors, and like I said, Richie Rich. I mean, all of those guys. I mean, from their support on
the corner ballpark. I don't know if y'all ever checked it out yet. The most beautiful, I think, ballpark. I mean, as far as I know, at least
Old Tiger Stadium.
Yeah, it's the old Tiger Stadium. It's awesome. I mean, everybody wants to play there. Everybody wants to play there. Everybody tries to book it during any season, to be honest with you. And then, just overall, like I said, whenever I think of something, I'm trying to give. Winning the championship on that field, I'm so happy. Right? You drive by, you look at it like, yeah, like thank goodness we won, man. Because
that was a crazy season too.
Yeah, that was wild. So I want to ask you this question, okay? Since we're on this topic, right? And I have one already, so maybe you could think of one. A great police officer experience that you had, and I don't know. I mean, you typically you may just get your ticket and then move on. I don't know if you have one. Yeah, I got a quick story. Maybe you can think of yours. And I want to share this with people because, again,
I have a story.
This is learning. I learned in a moment, and education, right? I learned this in class, and I used it in real life, and it worked, okay? So I was taking a criminal justice class while I was in college, and the professor told us that she was like, what people don't know is that if you're ever like in an emergency, you can wave a cop down and they can get you where you gotta get to, whether it's like, someone's pregnant or you're, in a medical emergency.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know that. I was in college. My mindset was, police man, I don't want the bully. That's my mindset growing up. You see the police, you get worried. That was the first kind of thought in your head, so.
Only if you're doing something wrong.
I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
I know.
But.
I'm messing with you.
So.
I'm sure we all got a little nervous.
Yeah.
I still get nervous.
So, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I was in college, it was like a week. It was a very stressful week for me. It was an incident that happened when I came back to the neighborhood. It was a lot of stuff. So, I had a big exam, and I started to feel really anxious. And then I stepped out of the room that I was in, and I started pacing. And I'm like, I've never felt this way before. And me not knowing what an anxiety attack was, I thought I was about to die. My heart started beating fast, and I could not, I'm just pacing, and I was like, at this point, I couldn't believe that I'm about to tell my cousin to take him to the hospital. And, that thought kept on, scaring me even more, and that's why it made the anxiety even worse. So I went up to him, I was like, yo, you gotta take him to the hospital. And he's like, what's wrong? I was like, I don't know, my body's feeling about to shut down. That's exactly what I felt, my body's about to shut down. It was a weird feeling, and so, I'm praying, and we're in the car, I'm praying, and he's driving. I know he's driving faster than he should be, but he's worried about me. He hears me praying next to him. He's like, what is going on? I'm throwing him off. And we seen a cop. And I was like, please pull over to the cop. He's like, why? I was like, just pull over to the cop, because I was worried about how we're going to get to where we need to get to. Pull over to the cop, and the cop immediately turned on his lights, first asked us, are you sure you don't want me to get an ambulance? Are you sure you don't want to bring an ambulance? And I was like, I didn't know at the moment. I was like, I just need help. So then he started asking my cousin and telling him, and then, they ended up bringing the ambulance. Long story short, I didn't even get to the hospital. I ended up, relaxing. They ended up telling me, they're like, I'm surprised your body didn't completely shut down. Usually people faint in these kind of situations. But just them being there and them giving me the ambulance and them calming me down, that's really what it was. Is I just needed to calm down, right?
Yeah.
And it helped me. And I'm going to be honest with you, at that moment, I felt like it saved my life, but you never know where those things can happen. But, it was a big moment for me.
Absolutely.
It was a big moment for me, and I don't think people realize that when you are in those emergency situations that you can call on an officer or, wave them down, and they'll be there for you. They'll help you, So I want to make sure that I share that story, but go ahead. Do you have something
I don't have as good a story as you, but one time when I got into that big car accident.
Yeah.
And then it was my fault. I hit the car, but my brakes went out. And I stayed in the car until the police came. But when I came out of the car, the lady tried to come and come at me or whatever. But the police officers didn't let her, obviously, and they kept her in the car. So that was the only time where I've ever had a situation where, But I don't want any situation where we're not where I would need it. But that was kind of the only time.
Yeah, but people don't need to know that they're here to support you.
100%.
They're here for you. So I just wanted to share that story. And so going off of that, I guess when people say that all police officers are bad, or when people say like they don't mess with the police or they don't want to be around the police, like your thought is what? Like what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear people say that?
And what would you want to tell them?
Yeah, and what would you want to tell them?
So my first thought, is like, well, I don't know why. Right, jokingly, but then I'll say, I understand why. But the advice that I'll give them is that at the end of the day, the police work for you all. We really don't work for ourselves. We literally police for other people. We don't call 911 for each other or on each other, right? We're policing for our society and our communities. And so when you look at that, that's a mindset shift. The police work for me. And people don't really, it's not marketed, it's not really talked about, it's not sold like that, but honestly, that's the sell. Police work for you. And so when you think about that, how do you want to use the police? Is it just for 911 calls? Is it really truly to fill these voids in these spaces where it's uncomfortable, right? A lot of times, I'm a business owner outside of being a cop. And so sometimes people will find out, like, hold on, you own a mobile gaming truck, you have all these PS5s, and you host people birthday parties and community events and stuff. Oh, hold on, you a cop by day? And some kids will like, put the controller down, they'll be like, oh no, so how is it being a cop? And so at that point, you're a superhero. Mm-hmm. And so like, whoa, you got all these PS5s during today's time, and then you're a cop as well. And I just tell them, I work for you. Just like that. It's my biggest advice. So how do you want to use me? So if you need me to come talk on a podcast, it's for y'all. But the police really work for you. And so once our society really figure that out, I think we can really, push the needle a little bit further as well.
That is some great advice, and I don't know if you want to touch on it.
Well, I know for a fact that if I was in a situation where I would need a police officer, I wouldn't say I don't, like, they're like, what are they going to do for me? I would definitely call. You know what I'm saying? But,
the average Joe sometimes doesn't think like that, and that's a crazy thing, and I think that's what, like, mind boggles me a little bit, but, I got a question for you. This is Black History Month.
Okay.
Alright, and I know this wasn't one of the questions that I had written down or anything, but, like, who is someone that inspires you, that is African American, or that you can say that you looked up to and made you or turned you into the person that you are today? Kind of putting you on the spot right now.
Yeah, so, it's two people, just right off the top. My birthday is January 15th, and so that's Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday.
yeah.
And so my grandmother embedded in me, like, you're going to be great in life. You have to do something, like, and so I do believe in dreams. My condo, I have a glass walk-in shower that's totally decked out, and I get so many of my visions there, and those visions of how do you want to live your life? What will make you most happy today? How can you help somebody today? Like that dream, whether it's a daydream or at night. We talked about balance and having that peace, and so getting those sound nights of rest and just being able to dream. I couldn't imagine living life without dreams or goals or visions and everything. And so that's one. And then number two would be LeBron James. In middle school, I did not like to read. Absolutely hated it. So make sure we keep our first graders on track. But I had a language arts teacher named Robert Walker, and we're still in contact to this day. And I will never forget that he handed me a Sports Illustrated book with LeBron James on the cover of it, and I think he was in the 10th grade at the time, in the same area. And so I started reading about LeBron. Like, dang, it's like the next Michael Jordan, and he has these moves, and he played on TV, and I was like, wow. And from that day, I just read and I followed LeBron, all LeBron jerseys, donated money to I Promise his school in Akron, but a kid with no father, house to house. You know, he had to like, you know, I'm from the neighborhood, but it's a hood term, kind of like you got to get out the mud, right? Like you have to sometimes get dirty to really build the life that you want. And so when you grew up on Gerald and Illinois in Detroit, that 48204 zip code, that's a lot of violence. That's a lot of blight now. You see some of your childhood peers murdered. Some of them are in prison now. Some just didn't even make it. You know, I hate to say it like that. Like, they didn't get a fair chance at life when you got to grow up in poverty like that. And so, to grow up in poverty and to now have a very, very, very privileged lifestyle in life and to be able to give back to people, right? Like, I'm in my 30s and I've been giving back since I was in college as a with big brothers, big sisters, right? And so, to build that type of life, because I didn't want other black males or minority males to fall into the traps of early death, like my little brother, or going to prison, where when you're in prison, they take away your freedom. And America is supposed to be this land that's free and of opportunity, and it's capitalism, where it's an open market, free for trade, for profit. And these young boys are giving up all of that. And the greatest asset we have is like time. So LeBron showed me you gotta manage your time in a sense. You can spend your time building a beautiful life and working hard and having an honest life. But if you waste your time, right, you automatically waste your life and everything. So Martin Luther King, LeBron, I think will be the top two in terms of
great answer.
Yeah, I'm giving a round of applause for that one. And people don't know that side of LeBron James. They always judge him again, although him as a basketball player, but. What he does outside of the court, man, it's very inspiring. It's very inspiring. And by the way, for him to live up to all that expectations, it's not easy.
You talk about, even though when I look at my life, one wrong choice. I mean, talking about one wrong choice. Because we don't have a silver spoon or an environment that's lucrative for a child to be brought up and raised up with the best opportunities possible.
Right.
Life is tricky automatically.
100%.
Right, automatically. And so you got to look at that. And those people who make it out of those situations, you know, sometimes they really put together some nice lives. And so I'm super fortunate, and every day that's why I just try to give back, because I know one decision I could have made, and, you know, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today. So.
Yep, that's a great way of looking at it. And I wanted to ask you, what are some things that officers offer that, like, for example, what I mentioned, like how people might not have known that, like, is there some things that you'd be like, you know, officers, we can do this for y'all, it's just people don't take advantage of it kind of things, you know, like, that they offer, other than, people think officers just give tickets, right? You know, what do police officers...
And like 911 calls.
Yeah, 911 calls. So what are some things that maybe policing do that maybe people don't know that is available?
Yeah, so I think every department is different, but when you look at quality of life, the police department, they offer it all. And so people are going through drug abuse. You know, we have a unit where we can get people to shelters or getting the attention that they need. If you're looking at homelessness, you know, the police department got a unit for that addresses homelessness. Right now, we live in Detroit where it can be cold, very, very cold. When you're looking at teens and mentorship, and we have the brotherhood and sisterhood mentoring programs, or our city camp where it addresses trauma that kids suffer from, the partnership with Detroit PAL. When you're looking at just life in general, you know, you have at every precinct in Detroit, they have something called a neighborhood policing office. And so it's a unit where our neighborhood police officers, they just tackle quality of life issues. And so not only issues, but they're to enhance the quality of life as well. And so you want to make that relationship with the police in Detroit, go to your neighborhood police officer, and if they don't have it, then their job is to connect you to that resource. And so they're just resourceful. It's not a one glove that fits all. It's not, you can put it all into one box. It is very complex, but it's a good complexity because the police can really connect the dots for a lot of people. Again, they're going to help you solve your problem, or they're going to give you more problems. And so, yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And before I move on to the next question, I want to give a shout out to the second sponsor. That is Leo's Coney Island Royal Oak. Leo's is located on 10 South Main Street, Royal Oak, Michigan. Their number is 1248-336-8093. They have delicious American-style food known for their conies, fried chicken gyro, breakfast, chili. Leo's conies have been around for a long time, but to me, the best Leo's of them all is the one in Royal Oak. Shout out to Ahmed Al-Hadimi, the owner of there. We appreciate you, everybody over there at Leo's, Coney Island, and Royal Oak. Big sis, before I hit him with the final advice for everybody out there that's watching, do you have any questions that you want to ask? I mean, I know.
No, honestly, you guys are doing great, and I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and we'll give the shout out to what you do and Game Mobile. After I ask you, what advice would you give to a young fellow that's watching this or a young lady that's watching this? Anybody that's probably watching this that might just need advice. What advice would you give them just on life, on policing, on anything like that, the relationship between police and the community, anything? It's on you right now.
Yeah. So I was what I do every day at Detroit PAL. Again, we have a mission where it's really trying to help people become great. And I'm just going to take it directly from them. Set goals. I mean, please aim at something. I don't care if it's trade school, college, community college, entrepreneurship, right into the workforce. Just aim at something that will give you a fair opportunity to build the best life possible. Be resilient. I mean, seriously, never give up. Life is going to present us with some very hard and challenging days and times, but those who are resilient, they never give up. They continue to aim at their goal one day at a time. Live as healthy as you can. I mean, social media, this thing is powerful. These phones are powerful, these cameras, and it takes a lot of our time, and whatever we input is something that we can output. And so if it's unhealthy, we can send out unhealthy things. So try to put as much healthy stuff in you as possible. Be accountable. You can only control, yourself at the end of the day, and that's our attitude and how we react. And so as officers, we're seeing a lot of young people, get their lives up very, very soon, their freedom up very, very soon, just because of how they reacted. And so that accountability and being responsible for your own actions is very important. And then use your team. No one is self-made.
Yeah.
I don't care what song or what book says it's self-made, but we've all had some type of support, and so you don't have to do anything in life alone. And then from Bryant George, just try to be as happy as possible. Try to find as much peace, find what you love, and do it until the end of life.
I love that.
Yep, I love it. There's another round of applause. The
A
crowd,
little bit everything.
there you go. Gotta let them know that it's time to clap. Sorry, they're a little delayed today. But first of all, Officer Bryant George, Detroit PAL, honestly, I try to find ways to say thanks to Detroit PAL, and I try to come up with different things in my head of like, man, I really wanted, you guys to come and represent yourselves and obviously represent, policing and stuff that is done in the community, because I cannot thank you guys enough. Honestly, I know you guys are focusing on the youth, but you've helped me as an adult. I'm a person, I try to help people too, my best way I can, and you guys inspire me because I see what you guys do on a daily basis. And being teachers. It's we get our opportunities to impact the youth, and sometimes we need that motivation, right? And so when I see something on Detroit PAL, I'll be like, man, that's my motivation right there, because they're doing it every day, and we're teachers. These guys are a non-profit organization, like you said, and so I just want to say, and I don't know what else. I try to come up with different ways, and this was just another way where I wanted to say thank you, seriously, to you guys, all of you at Detroit PAL. And I appreciate you, and all of my players will say the same thing if they can.
Oh yeah.
They've given us memories that we can never erase.
Never.
And, opportunities that we would have never thought that we would have been.
I don't know if you ever watched the video last year
beautiful.
when the basketball game, Detroit Pal caught it. We were in the Pal League last year. We couldn't do it this year because we were getting mollywalled by a lot of
I was losing. It was hard.
Yeah, it was hard. Like the league that we're in is not as competitive, but because our teams, the kids are still new to the game. We got a lot of demographics.
Yeah.
Demographic is changing in traffic. So, but I cannot sit here and say it was not because of the Pal experience. Like I love Pal.
Yeah.
I love Pal.
For sure.
And it was taken care of. Like everything was done, and I know you guys had this All-Star game thing. We ain't have it last year, but man, kids being an All-Star game, you know how much I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Kids will start shooting more probably. Gotta get paid, but just awesome things, man. But we had a moment last year. Her son Ramsey, man, I won't be surprised if you didn't see the video circulating because they posted it. Detroit Pal did, and he hit a game winner
In overtime.
In
It was
overtime.
overtime. And
Yeah,
he,
sure did.
So I'm screaming, that's my nephew, and she over there screaming next to me. We just looking like something. And the problem is, like, I would have
that was the only game we won too.
No, we were when we won, we were 2-1.
Okay.
So I only reacted like that because we just beat what was this? Debsa.
Which is huge.
Yes. So like in my head, I thought like we was up there. We ain't winning game out there. Like that's all. I told my sister like if it was the last game of the season, I knew how bad we were. I would have never reacted like that.
Yeah.
But we were 2-1 at the moment. We just beat Debsa. Like I was like we was on top of the world.
Listen, it was
I'm
just
screaming, that's my nephew. I would have never reacted like that if we were like losing as bad.
It was such a close because it was like
overtime and everything. Yeah. But it's hilarious because that's what she was talking about, like moments like that.
So I'm that crazy mom. I'm not gonna even.
We're never gonna forget that.
Yeah.
We're never gonna forget that moment, and I mean that was just a sports moment. Like the off the field stuff too, man. Off the field stuff, just being there with us throughout it all. So we want to say thank you, and this is a time to give a shout out to Game Mobile. How can people follow you? How can people book you? How can people get you to come to their parties or events, stuff like that?
So if you're looking for a birthday party, any type of corporate event, school event, Game Mobile and More LLC is a luxury gaming mobile opportunity where we have equipped, and I mean we're literally equipped with PlayStation 5s, the Nintendo Switch, the Oculus Quest 2 virtual headset.
Oh, no way. Cool.
Premium leather seating, laminate flooring, LED lights, fireplace, high ultra definition TVs. And so you can follow us at _Game Mobile and More on Instagram, and then on Facebook at Game Mobile and More LLC. Or you can go directly to the website at www.gamegamemobile.com.
And we could vouch for it too because we had them last year during our banquet, our athletics banquet, and the kids, like I said, had so much fun. He had kids from the neighborhood coming. You know how they see it from their window, they start creeping, and then you look at it like, all right, come on. Right? I didn't want to invite them because it's his thing, but he was more than happy with it. So. He had kids in there just having fun and had a great time.
And mind you, this can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like,
mobile.
Yeah. You
Parks.
Absolutely.
Backyards. Schools. Yeah. So, again, this is Officer Bryant George from Detroit Police and also Detroit Pal. Great guy. We appreciate you for doing this. This conversation is all about policing in our community and as well as Detroit Pal and all the great things that they're doing over there. Any final words that you want to mention?
I would say if you have children at what is the youngest that they can?
4 years old.
4 years old and to middle school, right? Or
high school.
To high school. Yeah. Enroll them into Detroit Pal.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes. In any program.
There's so many different programs.
Absolutely.
And how can they do that if they wanted to? Is there?
Right on the web, www.detroitpal.org. Just like that.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can go to the office too, the main office over there, and it's beautiful. You can go and see how it looks, the baseball field, the new facility over there on Michigan Avenue. And honestly, that's all we have for today. Bryant, again, thank you so much for being here. This was amazing. This was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And again, this was episode 25 of the Table Talk podcast. We go live on YouTube, Oz Media. Or you can listen to it later on Apple and Spotify podcasts under Oz Media. We appreciate you, and we'll see you all next week. It's the beginning of March. It's reading month, so a lot of our stuff is gonna be about teacher-centric, stuff. By the way, there's another coincidence. Melvin Jackson, when he was giving a shout out, gave a shout out to a teacher, right? Carol Bush, remember? She gave a shout out to a teacher. Gave a shout out to your language arts teacher in middle school.
Wow.
It's not a coincidence, right?
Wow.
No, not at all.
Teachers
change lives. Now we need to change our salary.
Yes.
There you go.
I'm serious. I'm just saying.
Well, thank you all for watching. We'll see you all